Everybody told Buddha, your value is to be a king, to be a king, to be a king. And then he asked his heart, what value is that? And he looked deeper and says, no, there must be a bigger value that I can bring to this world that I am a part of. And so he went to search that real value. Once this question is set correctly and deeply, we become actually productive. All the energy which was wasted on validation, and in many cases is like the vast majority, 90%, 95% of the creative power that we have is going towards validation, which is very approximate to actual value. All that which was wasted before, gradually, as we establish ourselves in these heart answers of what actually has value, instead of just 5% of our energy going to bring actual value. Yeah, if our value that we feel we need to bring to the community we live in is to heal the deep soul wounds, then we don't just appear to be doing something and collecting the little letters that we said and put them on the wall, little thank you letters. We don't care about any thank you letter. We don't have time for that. We really care about healing the soul wounds. Instead of putting 5% of the energy, suddenly we put 70% of the energy. We're not 100% clear yet what we are doing, but we are 70% clear. And then this feeling of value becomes a part of us. And that enthusiasm, the state of exhalation, of joy of existing, of joy of being a part of this community, of this world, is just ours. And we can receive feedback. People can say, look, you've done that wrong. He says, oh yeah, I've done that wrong, correct it. You don't move so much because you know you have value, because you know you bring value. You checked in your heart, really. And you see soul wounds are healed. You have real value to this community, to this world, because that's what you do. And it's wonderful. And it's enough. So this is a real revolution inside, and what happens is, when the part is serving the whole correctly, wholeheartedly, the whole will empower the part, as the body empowers the cells. Whenever there is such a person like that in a healthy community, in a cuckoo community all sorts of things can happen, but in a relatively healthy community, the entire community would support that who really loves the community, that who really loves the family, country, whatever, will be supported. Mother Teresa or Gandhi or whatever. Pass some scoldings first, maybe go to jail, but in the end be very supported, because you bring actual value. Yeah, this is why it's so emphasized in spiritual communities, seva and karma yoga. You do and you serve the community and you see the real value. You help people on the path. You serve and serve and serve, and then you get a real sense of value, and you don't just fly in the wind on any kind of validation that comes and goes. So the effects of really posing that question and owning your own self-worth are, there's a huge resource that is set into action instead of being continuously wasted in validation. We become free more and more from external validation, which makes the mind quiet. You don't go on social networks so much anymore, and you don't fish for compliments, and it doesn't interest you, and you don't remember 1,000 years later whatever word of criticism anybody told you, because you have real confidence. And this state of enthusiasm, of exhalation is with us, and from this confidence and love we really follow a purpose. If you look at the life of masters, this is the tilting point. Everybody told Buddha, your value is to be a king, to be a king, to be a king. And then he asked his heart, what value is that? I can just bring bread to people who will die, and bring some medicine for the sick who will also die. I can bring some prosperity. That's the best thing I can do as a king. Is that real value? And he looked deeper and says, no, there must be a bigger value that I can bring to this world that I am a part of. And so he went to search that real value. Yeah. So this is in the beginning of life of every master, there is this questioning. What is the actual value I can bring? And there is a sobering from the external validation and a real asking of the heart. And then taking all the fire for that, all the persecution, all the hardship, and sometimes not being understood for centuries, and yet bringing real value, if that questioning is done in the heart.
Basically, this practical approach of starting to ask some questions inside is always meant to lead back to eventually come to answer to the real question, which is, well, do I have value, as we said it before, but much deeper than that, who am I and what is this existence all about? So even though that might be quite far for now to answer, this approach of gradually integrating into a greater and greater whole will allow you to, in this process of movement, you center more and more like a dreidel that you spin, and the center becomes perfect while the dreidel is spinning very fast around its own axis. In this motion of expanding and maybe cosmicizing or something like that, the whole that you are part of and your contribution to it, gradually you will become more and more aware of the center, of the one that wishes to give. That which all these wonderful contributions that Uriel talked about arise to naturally, is that what we are in the end of the day actually looking for, and which will give the true and complete self-worth that is inherent in existence itself. So that is then when you enter the spiritual path, that will become your prime directive, if you will. This is what you will be looking at.
Well, being in action constantly would be, it doesn't have to be constant, but being in the right action will be a result of deeply asking that question. And asking that question not with an external authority, but with the authority of your heart. That's what the heart is. This is an organ to integrate the piece and the whole. That's what it's for. If you really ask your heart and have the courage to ask your heart, then it will lead to the correct action, which doesn't need to be constant action. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But it would lead to a correct action, and that correct action will create a deeper sense of value, which will make you more settled, less dependent on validation, and that will allow you to go even deeper, to make an action which is even more integrated and correct.
I want to add here this catch-22 that you find yourself in, with okay, I doubt that I have value, therefore I can't give value to my surroundings, and therefore I will keep doubting that I have value. This is exactly an expression of this leaning on the outer value. And basically what these questions that Uriel presented to us do is they start to quite practically flirt with the inner value. Yeah, where it's like, okay, so what do you wish to offer? Because it's implicit sort of in your question, the urgency that you need to offer something, because otherwise you will not have a value, But when it becomes like, okay, let's just accept everything as it is, no matter how worthless I might feel right now. Let me feel in this moment, what do I feel to offer? Oh, this little thing. Okay, good. It's not much. My ego has a whole story about how it's not sufficient. This is what I have. Here you go. And then see what happens from there. So it's a modality of coming from this bouncing back and forth within the outer periphery of self-worth, going deeper and deeper inside. So there is an end to this. It's not well, it's not unfair, but I still feel, my heart still yearns to give more. And then you give more, and then you will see, maybe your heart feels to give even more. But it shouldn't be something that you feel once in the heart and then it goes on your to-do list. It should be something that reawakens and stays alive inside of you and springs from your heart again and again. And of course, what to tell the ego is, my dear ego, we will listen to the heart. I mean, that is an eternal problem in this case, where this exercise invites for a gradual shift from ego to soul, and that will never be very easy for the ego to handle with that. But you can always speak to your heart. You can always remember that you follow certain virtues and beliefs and notions that you feel are alive inside of you. And then those alive things, they will make you also feel alive when you follow them and make you feel fulfilled.
Yes, and this wish to give more, it keeps you constantly tangent for more. It's wonderful. It's like an overflow. Yes, so it's not I need to give more, therefore there's a lack. It's I constantly wish to give more, therefore there's this tangency to expansion. Yeah, so take it from the optimistic side of more.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem. So you will not feel the desired self-worth because you keep yourself from what arises naturally from your heart. So do what arises naturally from your heart.
Yeah, if you love your family more actively and accept them more intensely, you'll be able to bring more of the value. But remember that the idea is to bring them the value in the way that they need it and they can take it, not in the way that you want to give it. Yeah, it's very particular what of your love and growth they will receive and what of your love and growth they actually need. And then if you follow that and you're very sensitive and loving and accepting, you can bring indeed a great value.
Yeah, harmonize Manipura and uplift into Anahata.
Yes, and then all the satellite, the superficial is Svadhisthana. When the Manipura and Anahata are flat and the questions are not put in the navel chakra or heart chakra, then we are left with the second chakra with an imaginary sense of validation that goes up and down like a soap opera or like the stock market. Yeah, you shift from the mechanism. You see, when you are not sure if you bring value, you will need a feedback, an external feedback. What I did it have value? But if you know inwardly it had value, it's done. You cannot just, how would you eliminate expectations? So many people say, I will not have expectations. Try. It's very difficult, almost impossible. But if you yourself go underneath the mechanism of expectation and you are just sure it has value, you paint the wall white. You don't need 50 people to say, is the wall white? Did I paint it white? No, you know you painted it white. You know what you did brought value. You brought value to a very selfish person that doesn't say ever anything good to anyone. It doesn't matter. You brought value. You did your part. Yeah? When the nose brings oxygen to the lungs, they don't say, ole, bravo, nose, you are the best, and they are all cheering for the nose. No, the nose brings oxygen to the lungs. And the lungs, they don't keep the oxygen to themselves. They send it to the organs, and then the liver doesn't come with flowers and chocolates to the lungs. Thank you so much.
Maybe it does.
Maybe it does. Thank you so much for bringing me oxygen. No, it's just the flow of things. Once you understand that it's just like that, you are an organ in a bigger body, you do your part and make no fuss of it. And then the structure of expectation goes away. It's only because we doubt. Did I paint this wall white? Is it white? Maybe it's just my eyes seeing it white. And so forth. Then we get very much dependent on the expectations, and we get super pissed when we don't get expectations or demotivated.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.